everybody. We're about ready. Lolita, you sit in one of the front seats. We have a special guest, JR, Tim. If we're good. Everybody good? All right, 1 second. Morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's a really exciting day. It's incredibly exciting to introduce in just a moment the 18th president of The Ohio State University, Ravi Bellamkonda. He's going to make a few remarks, and then we'll open it for questions. I will call on people, so if you have a question, give me the sign, and I'll put you on the list and wait till I call on you. If we get through everybody, which this is a big group, so I don't know how likely that is, but if we get through everybody, then we'll go around again if people have second questions. Some of you had questions about whether I would be available after, and I will be. So just hang in this room, and then I'll be available after. So I'm going to turn it over to the 18th president of The Ohio State University, Ravi Bellamkonda, and you see we also have a special guest, so we'll start with that.
Morning, everybody. We're in the middle of our period 8 of practice 2, and we do not have pads on. So I felt like I could come over, step away from practice to make sure that I welcome Ravi to our family. So Ravi and I spoke last night. He shared to me how important athletics is to our student experience and all Buckeyes across the globe. As we know, excellence is the standard here at Ohio State. That includes the classroom, healthcare, research, and winning championships on the field. And at the end of the day, we all win with people. We're here to serve, to educate, and develop people at every level, including the student body, the faculty, the staff. I'm looking forward to working with Ravi to continue our excellence as we take it to new levels. And listen, Ravi is he's a bioengineer. He's a neuroscientist, and I'm a football coach, so I'm going to let him take it over from here, and I'm going to go back to coaching the team. But I look forward to working with Ravi moving forward. Congratulations, Ravi.
Can I say it's happy birthday? It's Ryan's birthday today. So.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
For coming, sir. Thank you for everything that you do.
You got it. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Go Bucks. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I have just a few remarks, like Ben said, and I'm happy to take your questions. As I just shared, it's an honor to be here and serve The Ohio State University. We have fantastic leaders here, like my colleague John Warner, who leads our healthcare enterprise. And Lalita and I are just delighted to be a part of this community for the last 400-plus days. I want to address a few things. We've been in the news a little bit, and I just wanted to address things just to introduce and share with you directly. This is what I'll try to do always. We will try to do the right thing. I'll try to be transparent with you and keep you informed as we go forward and face challenges of the future. I'm still processing President Carter's resignation. Ted recruited us here for my first meeting. I saw a leader I was inspired by, like many of us, and I'm deeply, saddened is one way to describe it about the turn of events, and I feel for him and his family, and I genuinely, he was a fantastic leader for us at Ohio State, and I'm proud of what we've done together, and I wish him the best going forward. The situation is complicated, and I want to respect him and his family and the process. That said, I'm excited for what lies ahead for us. There are also a set of questions that I have been a part of the conversations of about namings and our facilities and buildings. We have a well-established process, as the university has said before, and I think the process is thorough, fair, and open. And I will promise you that we will give each request a full consideration. I want to also address the role that donors and well-wishers of the university play in the university's functions, from athletics, Ryan, from academics to our healthcare mission. We really couldn't be the excellent place that we are with our donors. And certainly, Les and Abigail have been great supporters of the university for many years and have served the university. And so it is part and parcel of how the university operates. As I reflect on all of these kinds of complex situations, I'm okay with us grappling with complexity and difficulty and situations because it keeps us all honest. It allows us to come to the right resolution, and that is part of what being a great public university is, to have the ability to grapple with complexity. What I will say, though, is that one event, one person, or one news story does not define the Ohio State University. The Ohio State I have experienced in my last 400-day-plus days here There's a student somewhere right now as we speak working on some chemistry lab, probably inventing a new drug. There's a student athlete across the street from here working and pushing themselves to be as excellent as they can. We have doctors. I don't know if I've started watching The Pit a little bit with my wife. There are doctors here doing that for real, saving lives with residents and clinical staff and nurses and physician assistants. And we have artists who are creating art right now on our campus that questions the norms, questions the way we live, and give new insight into what it means to be human. This is the Ohio State that I experience. This is the Ohio State I'd like to focus on, but to do it in an environment that's open, that cares about people, and does things responsibly. And so with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
We'll start with Anna Hoffman from NBC4.
Good morning and
Good morning.
congratulations. There are some people who are skeptical of Ohio State's leadership in general. How do you plan to change those feelings as you're stepping into this role?
Yeah, I mean, we all feel what we feel, and we have the right to feel that. The only way I know to do this is to consistently show up and do the work and show to the world the Ohio State that I experienced so far as the chief academic officer and will continue to experience as president. As I just alluded to, the mission of the university is very special. If you think about it, there are many missions, but the two primary ones I think of is there are very few institutions left in the world whose job it is to explore things that we do not yet know, right? Whether it's our research mission, whether it's how we're organized as a society, how we as people work, we fundamentally are about knowledge discovery to explore things that we don't yet know. And our second mission of shaping the future through our students is an even more profoundly noble mission. And so my focus is going to be on that and how we live as a community together in the state, in our city, in our communities. And my hope is that by consistently showing up and doing that work and acknowledging that every system, every large complex entity is ultimately made of people. And just as people are capable of great things, we just saw Ryan and what their team did, we're also capable of people not living up to that sometimes. And that is the nature of the world. And we have to acknowledge that we don't live in black and white, that there is complexity. And we will embrace it. But if something happens untoward, we will try to do the right thing. That I can give you my word.
Sheridan Hendricks, Columbus Dispatch.
Sheridan, how are you?
Congratulations. Obviously, it's been a really interesting week, and it's pretty atypical for a university, especially of Ohio State size, to go from a presidential resignation to appointing a new permanent president within 4 or 5 days. Obviously, you didn't appoint yourself, but I'm curious how you respond to some of the concerns and criticisms from folks saying, this is moving really fast, why didn't we have a public search?
Yeah, as you said, I cannot speak for the board, right? I can only respond to their call. And all I'll say is that all my life I've been privileged to take on roles that have had some impact and meaning. And for me, there's no greater honor to have this role. And when asked to serve, it is my duty, having learned to love this place as much as I do now. I will tell you, it's not in my remarks here, when I go to a game and watch the flags fly in with the OHIO thing, it just gives me goosebumps, you know. And when at a moment where we had something unexpected happen and the board asks me to serve, the least I can do for a place that I care about is to step up and serve. I know our faculty, and I'm one of our faculty, have concerns about due process and shared governance. And as a provost, have fully committed to shared governance, and you can talk to them, and I will do so going forward. But here we are, and I will try to do the best I can to be the best steward for all constituencies, including our faculty.
Kevin Landers, 10TV.
Yes, sir.
You said today we will take on the hard things that are worth doing.
Correct.
At Duke and at Emory, you were very passionate about expanding DEI. This university has done away with DEI. This university has also quelled student protests and chalking. Having said that, what will you be doing to address DEI? And will you be allowing students to protest, to express their First Amendment rights?
Yeah, so let me take the latter part first. Absolutely. I think respecting a plurality of opinions, and indeed today, every year, and even I'm sure Ben can find the statistics on how many events we have on campus for all different groups as a public university with complete range of ideas being discussed on campus. In fact, I, as provost, instituted a new seminar series for for intellectual diversity, if you will. So I'm very committed to intellectual diversity, and we had a discussion on the role of religion in civic life as the first inaugural event. So I'm very committed to a robust, open conversation on difficult topics. That's how we make progress. That's how our system is built. On the notion that, the first question was about DEI, that's correct. So let me tell you my thoughts on that. So I do believe that, if I may be a professor for just 2 seconds, I do believe that our brains are sort of prediction machines. They have a model of how the world works, and learning happens the minute you run into an idea, a notion, a perspective, a culture that you have not experienced before. And at that moment, when you have a certain view of the world and you run into such things, which we do at universities, and I've consistently said, it is very valuable to have at the university a plurality of opinions and perspectives. And so I am committed to that principle. Whatever you think of my DEI record or not, I'm committed to the principle that the university have in it intellectual diversity that challenges our ideas and notions, and that will be the case going forward.
Simon Khan, Spectrum News.
How do you plan to rebuild trust after, Ted Carter's resignation and the controversy and the quick turnaround of you being appointed to this position?
No, thank you. I understand. My own office, me personally, Laritha and I, our staff, I don't believe we're past, given how recent. I didn't find out. I didn't find out till late Sunday about what had happened, and then the board informed me. So that was, and at 10 o'clock, there was, so it was less than 24 hours. And so I personally am going through my own process to grapple with what happened. As I said, the only way to do this is to remember that the mission of the university is noble, was, is, and will continue to be. And we as leaders and citizens of our community have a responsibility to continue that mission. Because what that mission is not about people. It is not about me. The role that I have as president is not about me. It is about how we can serve the mission of the Ohio State University for all the reasons I alluded to in there. And so the way we rebuild trust is to stay focused on our mission and to try to do it to the best of our ability. And should something happen, as I said, in the future, we will try to address it right away and do our best to fix it and do the right thing. That is the only thing I know. And what people will think of all of that and when is up to you, and you'll tell me, I'm sure. But I believe strongly that it's possible. We are not defined by one thing or one event. We've been around since a long time, 1860, and we will be for another 200 years, I'm sure. And we will do that by committing ourselves to the mission.
Amy Wattis, ABC6 and Fox 28.
Congratulations, first off.
Thank you.
I have two questions, kind of. One's more serious, one's a little more fun. What vision do you have? I know you're very new to this role, obviously, with everything happening so quickly. What vision do you have for the university moving forward, if you have one in place, or even have ideas, thoughts to set yourself apart from prior presidents? And then the second question, you made sure to mention CJ, the Golden Doodle. I'd like to hear more about him.
That's right. So can I just answer the second question? I'm just kidding. No, I truly think that at a time where higher ed is under scrutiny, we at The Ohio State University have a special window of opportunity to define to the country and to the world what it means to have institutions of higher ed that are mission-focused and focused on making a difference in the world through our discovery mission as well as our mission in education. And what does it mean to lead there? As I told you, I've been fortunate to be at a few good places. And the way we lead is by being unafraid to interpret that mission for ourselves. That answer at Ohio State will look slightly different from an Ivy League or some other place, or another public in another state. And so that's what I'm excited about. It is about excellence. It is about our healthcare mission, our athletics mission, as well as our educational mission. And we indeed, the academic excellence plan that we already have, I was intimately involved in its shaping, and it's an excellent plan, I think. And so we will continue that. And you'll hear more about details about ideas we have on how to grow our own unicorn startups. We have ideas on artificial intelligence. We have ideas in healthcare space that are exciting. We have ideas in the arts that we're excited about. So you will hear more about that in due course. CJ is our golden doodle. She's 7 or 8 going on 1. And my wife thinks that she has me wrapped around one of her toes, which I would deny, but but it's probably true. She's a golden doodle, and she has changed my life. I tell people she's my first pet. I've never had a pet before. I tell people that I like who I am when I'm with her. That makes sense.
Taylor Brock, Spectrum News.
So one of the trustees said that they always saw you as a president. Have you ever seen yourself as a president? Would you say, is it a dream role for you?
I've heard from others earlier in my career that, how people say, one day you're going to be president. And I've always brushed that aside because I feel like the way you get the next job is by doing your current job well. This is what I tell people when I'm mentoring them. And so I've been very fortunate to have the opportunities I've had. The way I think about leadership roles is that it's not about the leadership title. It's about the work that you want to do. Ever since I was a junior untenured assistant professor to associate professor, and I've had escalating responsibilities, I've taken on roles because having the title is convenient to do the work I wanted to do. It is not for the title. I think at The Ohio State University, we have the chance to be the best public and university in the world. And the scale that we have is impossible to replicate. It's really impossible to replicate. If we can pull off excellence at the scale that we are, truly I believe we can transform the world. To do that, it is convenient to have some leadership responsibilities and titles. And hence, I take this role on.
Terry Sullivan, ABC6 and Fox 28.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to take you back to, I think you said it was Sunday, right? Was it 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.?
It is late Sunday, yeah.
Late Sunday. Okay. How did the board approach you? Did they approach you in person? Did you get a phone call? Who was on the other side? And what did you think immediately? What did they say?
They didn't tell me right away. Well, it was Chairman Zeiger, Trustee Wilkinson, and Trustee Kaplan. They invited me to meet with them in person. And after about 15 or 20 minutes of talking of other things, they told me that at 10 a.m. on Monday, it'll be announced that President Carter, that was the first I heard from them. It almost fell off my chair. I had a mix of emotions, honestly. Primarily some mix of sadness, shock, disbelief that it was happening. They couldn't tell me a lot about why at that time. And even now, what I know is mostly what you know. I don't know anything more than what you know. There is an active review and investigation on, and we'll see what that reveals. But yeah, that's what happened. And then they told me at that time that they asked me if I was interested in stepping in. And I said, like any good spouse, I need to check with my... So I did that. I hope you don't mind me sharing that. And she's always been very supportive of my career, but nevertheless. And so that's how the journey started.
Mark Ferenchek, WSU.
Yes, so after you found out about the resignation of President Carter, did you speak with him? And if so, can you talk to us about what you spoke about?
Yeah, I wouldn't like to share what we talked about, but yes, he did call me Sunday late, and we had a good conversation. I wouldn't like to share what we talked about, because that was a personal conversation.
Station akin, 10 TV.
Speaking to more of the hard things that you are prepared to take on, we know one of those hard things happening here on campus is the aftermath of sexual abuse by Dr. Richard Strauss. And the survivors continuously say they do not feel seen by university leadership. How do you plan to tackle that?
You're right. Let me say a few things about that. First of all the survivors and former students are Buckeyes. They're members of our family. It just hurts me and all of us deeply that this happened. And I'm just very sorry that this has happened. I genuinely am. What I do know is that when we first found out in 2018, the university has been doing its best to do right by our own family members who went through this experience that we very much regret that they've gone through and continue to suffer from. What I do know is that a good faith substantial monetary offer has been made to all the survivors, and more than half have taken us up on that. As recently as this month, I think 8 survivors took us up. 304 survivors have taken up an offer from us. We've offered health counseling and continue to do that, and other kinds of health support. And we continue to talk to people who have not yet come to an arrangement with us. From 2018 to those who say we are not listening or not giving opportunities, from 2018 to 2022, I think, 5 times they've had a chance to address the board every year. And what happened after that was that there's a litigation that's ongoing, and the judge in the litigation has told us, you need to talk to the lawyers and not to the victims directly. And for that reason, we have not, at board meetings, given them the platform. But those who have settled also have already settled, have tried to talk to us, and we have a process to do that through our compliance office. So I would like to resolve this as much as our survivors would. I would like to do it the right way, and I think we have a way to do this, and we're open to conversations to come to an arrangement that won't make everything right, but at least will capture the feeling we have in the university to do right by these fellow members of our community.
Emma Wozniak, Columbus Dispatch.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're the 3rd president Ohio State has seen in 5 years. What, if anything, are you planning to do differently to set yourself apart from your predecessors?
Yeah, I don't. First of all, I'm the 18th president, and we were founded in 1870. So if my math serves me right, that averages to about 8 or so over a period of time. So it's not as so the recent times are not usual. So yeah, the Moral Act was 1864 or 63. So yeah, it's 1870. So my thing is, it's not about me, and it's not about me distinguishing myself with the others. That's not how I think about the world. What I think about is that, you know, I've been very fortunate in my life to have the opportunities I've had. Every day what governs me is, can I make a difference with the people, the students, the faculty, the staff that we have the amazing responsibility to create an environment where they can thrive, and that's what I'm going to do. If it's the same as somebody before, so be it. If it's different, so be it. This is who I am, and this is what we'll do. We will try to do best for our community in the service of things worth doing, hard things worth doing, like curing cancer. We are building at our university the next, the International Space Station is going to be retired in 2030. We're building Star Lab here on our campus. You know, if you walk into a room, as I have, you can see 100,000-year-old piece of ice in Bird Polar ice core. I mean, that's the largest manga collection. I have kids. The largest manga collection outside Japan is here at Billy Ireland Cartoon Museum. You know, you walk into Pelotonia Research Center. There's a program on proton beam therapy called FLASH, which has a way to increase the contrast between normal tissue and cancer tissue so we can more safely treat cancer. These are the magical things that are happening, and anything I can do as president to see that those and other things like this happen, this is what we'll do.
Noah Blundo, Hinda News.
Good morning. The state government has shown a lot more interest in the operations of Ohio State and other higher education institutions in Ohio. What will be your approach to interacting with leaders in the legislature and the administration?
Yeah, we are a state university and a public university. And indeed, this conversation is not just unique to Ohio. Across the nation, we've had the reason to ask ourselves, how should higher ed present itself? What is success for higher ed and what is its role? And I welcome that conversation. Indeed, I've already, in my academic officer role as a chief academic officer, spoken to several members of our state legislature. And by and large, they also want Ohio State to do well. They want excellence to be pursued. We may have periodically discussions on what that exactly looks like, and I look forward to those discussions. What I'm going to do is, as I'm doing with you, is to convey to them the special opportunity that The Ohio State University has as the flagship university in the state, and to drive the state's economy, to increase the AI prowess, the artificial intelligence revolution, and be at the leading edge of that. And indeed, we've done that with AI fluency. To my knowledge, no university, we announced this in June, this notion that every student of Ohio State will be bilingual, will know their major of study and the application of AI to that study. We are the first ones to say every major, not just more computer scientists, the history, literature majors will do this, is a bold thing. And that has a transformative potential for the workforce of our state, because most of our students stay in Ohio. And so that's the conversation I'd like to have with our legislators, while addressing any concerns they have, which, again, ultimately these things come down to trust and common purpose. And I have no reason to believe that, that we don't share a common purpose. What I will do is, and as they have also, have a deep commitment to academic freedom and our ability to ask ourselves hard questions in the pursuit of truth, no matter what those questions are, and we will strive very hard to preserve that core principle.
So I'm going to call on Katie Millard, and then we probably have time for one or two more. Katie Millard, NBC4.
Good morning.
Hi, Katie.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, I've heard a lot of comments from professors, especially when reflecting on Ted Carter's presidency, about concerns that he approached it as CEO of the university. Is that the approach that you would take?
Well, we'll see how my approach will be described. I think every leadership role I've had and every leadership role every leader has a job description, but I have found that mostly because of the complexity of these places, it's a suggestion. So there is some room to interpret it. And I'm sure I'll interpret it my own way, as I have the provost role. So I think I'll let others describe what that looks like.
Carrie Ghosh, Business First.
Okay, how about you?
How will you go about picking the provost or other members of your cabinet?
Good question. I'm very vested in the wonderful plan that we already have. And I think there's fantastic ideas. I don't think we need a new strategic plan and things like this. So we intend to continue and build on a plan that we already have, which is fantastic. I had a role in shaping. Many of my cabinet colleagues had a role in shaping. So I will probably name, I haven't made final decisions, probably name an interim provost, and then hopefully do a national search for a permanent provost in due course. The precise timings of how all that will look, I haven't yet had time to digest, but that's the approach we'll take to ensure that we don't lose any momentum on the plan, because the provost role is a critical role, and that's probably how we'll approach it. I'd like to have faculty input into that process and all of that, and staff input. So that's the way I'm thinking about it.
One more for Station Akin from ABC6 and Fox 28.
From 10 TV station.
Oh my gosh. Formerly of, that's terrible.
This is what happens when he knows you.
So you've never been a university president before. How do you plan to learn on the job at one of the biggest universities in the country?
There's no way to learn complex things. When I became dean, I had never been a dean before. When I was provost, I had never been a provost before. And there's always, you're exactly right, there's always things to learn. But I've learned that there's no simulation for being the leader that you are. That said, it helps to have some experience and interest in the job. I am deeply interested in our faculty. I love being in the university. I've never left. I've stayed from a postdoc at MIT and my graduate work at Brown. I've never left. That's because I love the university. I love all the things it does, from the arts. So my thing is that I will stay humble. I will try to do the right thing for the institution and our people, our staff, our students and faculty. And I'll rely on good feedback from you, and I have wonderful other leaders. You never do these things alone. We have an excellent group of deans, department chairs, faculty leaders, cabinet colleagues, and it's a team sport. It's always about that. And so my hope is, with the counsel of all the wisdom that already exists here, I'll have some role to play in actually thinking deeply about what excellence means. Yes, it means rankings and highly reputed programs. Ultimately, I think excellence is an attitude. It's a way of thinking and being. And that's the conversation, I think, as president, I'd like to facilitate. Excellence is not just a state. It's not that we become top 10 public, which we will, by the way. It is about behaving in a way that is exacting, because the impact of excellence is so important for us in our mission.
Laura Hancock, Cleveland.com.
Just a really quick bio. You were at Case Western from what year to what year?
I was there from 95 to 2003. I still root for the Browns. I get in trouble with the Bengals fans here. Never stopped. When the Cavaliers won, I'm telling you, it was one of the best days of my life. And I'm not pandering to my Cleveland friends here, but it really was. To come back 1-3 was unbelievable. But yes, and we still have good friends in Cleveland.
All right, we're an educational institution, so I'm going to put them on the spot. We have Ali Wolf and Davis Beatty from The Lantern. Would you like to ask the final question?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for what you do. My son also wrote for the student newspaper. So.
I've heard from students and faculty of kind of the lack of transparency they have felt from the administration. How can you possibly have plans to kind of change that and adjust what they've been feeling?
No, see, the challenge is that when you have a large institution like ours, you can never over communicate. However much you communicate, it's not enough, right? We send emails, and I can see not many people open the emails. So I will do my best to meet in person, but the students is not a monolithic thing, as you know. The student government is wonderfully representative, but doesn't represent all the students and how they feel. So there's no good way to do this, unfortunately. But I will do my best. I love students. Actually, Lalita and I have hosted students in our house many times, and we'd like to do things like that and be open. And I truly, genuinely, both of us love spending time with students, and we intend to do that. And hopefully, over time, they will feel like they know what's going on. Or maybe I need to be on TikTok or something. I don't know. So.
All right. Thank you, everybody. If you have questions for me, you can hang here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ben.
President.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks.
You can come to me? Yeah, we'll go.
But then, yeah, I don't have anything going on tomorrow. Exactly. My brain is feeling fried, so. I read that. Even though it's not ready, it's really good. Yeah. Okay.
We don't have one, so we're legally allowed to use.
I'll see you later.
Next up, it's just on YouTube. We downloaded it because she has to read it. So.
Sorry.
But next up,
Oops, sorry. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we downloaded that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad he did it. He asked me like 8 million questions. Wow.
Because he was like, and all this is